I feel like this year's NBA MVP's race has been one of the more exciting MVP races, at least of the last decade. And I feel like we say this all the time. Russell Westbrook and James Harden had one. Stephen Curry and James Harden had one. But this year it's kind of been weird. And I say it's kind of been weird to me because from about October to around the All-Star break, in a lot of people's eyes, Paul George was like the definite MVP guy. Like, he was the MVP in a lot of people's eyes from about October to February, but it seems like as of now, he's completely fell out of the discussion totally. So that's why I say it's kind of been weird. Now, before I go into how I feel like that happened, I want to plug in a few sponsorships for myself. I just opened up a brand new YouTube channel called Swishout Films. I basically want to take this channel to be more of my daily topics because I want to produce more content for you guys on 2 channels. So I want to make this one more of my daily topics like this one, and I want that one to be more of my stories, my documentaries, stuff like that, because I want to do some very, very, very different stuff on that channel pertaining to basketball, and I feel like you guys will like it. So make sure you guys subscribe. That's what I'm saying right now. Pause the video, get off this video, go over there and subscribe and show my channel some love. So that's that. So like I said, go over there and subscribe and do all that great stuff and follow my social medias. But at the same time, how did Paul George basically fumble the MVP? Now, in my opinion, I feel like if Paul George were to continue to have all those game winners, put up all those points, you got to remember from about October to February of this season, Paul George was locking up your best offensive player, and he was averaging like close to 30 points per game. So he was the clear favorite for MVP, and I feel like his story was the most likable. Now, why do I say that? James Harden, of course, James Harden, he has the MVP numbers. Like, he's averaging 36 points per game. He had like a 30 or 20-something game streak where he was putting up 30 points or more, multiple 50-point games. But at the same time, James Harden won MVP last year, and usually voters, they're not too, they don't usually want to give a player the award back to back. You have to really earn that. And I feel like James has, but it's hard for a player to do that nowadays. And as for Giannis Antetokounmpo, the player that I would actually vote for MVP, I feel like they don't seem like they want to accept Giannis as the best player on the planet or as one of the best players. They seem like since his name is so long and he plays in a small market in Milwaukee, it's kind of hard for him to actually gain that respect. I mean, he's on the cover of 2K, and for some reason it still feels like players, the media, everybody's a little bit reluctant to actually put him in that great status with the rest of those players. So I don't feel like he would have won if Paul George would have continued to do what he's done. And the biggest reason I feel like he would have won, I feel like the media and everybody else, they respect him for going back to OKC and continuing what he started with Russell Westbrook. A lot of people like him for that. Like, a lot of people respect the fact that he didn't just jump on LeBron's bandwagon and go to the Lakers and take the easy LA route. Not saying that's an easy route, but he lost with OKC last year. He underperformed, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna come back and finish what I started and continue with Russ. And people love Russell Westbrook, so to see Russell Westbrook, get a player and not get left again, they respect him. So if he would have came back and continued to put up those numbers, he would have won. Now, before the All-Star break, Paul George was putting up numbers. He was hitting game winners. He was averaging 29 points per game, 8 rebounds, 45% from the field, 40% from deep, about 2 steals per game. He had multiple game winner, multiple 40-point games. He had a 5-game streak where he was averaging 35 points or more. Like, he was just doing great stuff for the team. He was even playing so good, to me, he was kind of getting the media off of Russell Westbrook's back, because him playing well and actually winning, it was making Russell Westbrook look like, okay, he finally gets it. He's letting Paul George score. He's letting Paul George be the man, the better player. So it was like, damn, man, Paul George is making Russ look good. The team is winning. Before the All-Star break, they was 37-20 on a 54-game streak, on a 54-win pace, and I would have put him as the 3rd seed if they continued that pace. So it was like, man, OKC, man, they rolling. Paul George is the MVP. But all that great hype and all that great stuff Paul George had coming his way pre-All-Star break seemed like it started to slowly come downhill after the All-Star break. Now, granted, he did have a 45-point game against Utah, like right after the All-Star break. I think even in that game versus Utah, he hit the game winner and Russell Westbrook fouled out. So it was like, man, Paul George is the MVP. He was playing great. But after that, I feel like he started to deal with shoulder injuries and shoulder soreness and stuff like that, and his numbers started to go down, and most importantly, his efficiency decreased. What made Paul George look so great prior to the All-Star break is he was hitting shots consistently and most importantly efficiently. Like he was looking real good, and Russell Westbrook was setting him up. He was hitting dimes. He was creating for himself, creating for others. But after that All-Star break and after that Utah game, you can just see his numbers started to go down. He averaged 25 points after that, 8 rebounds, 39% from the field and only 33% from deep. And don't get me wrong, 25 points per game and 8 rebounds, that's great. But it's like he just wasn't as efficient, and it didn't seem like it was actually working as much as it did before, because like I said before, it was leading to wins and he was like willing them to wins almost. But then it started to feel like his efficiency's 3 for 16, 3 for 18. Russell Westbrook started to seem like he was shooting more and doing more. It just seemed like their duo wasn't as effective. And like I said, most importantly, they just weren't winning like they was before, because before the All-Star break, they was 37-20 on pace to a 54-win season, which would have put them as the 3rd seed, like I said. But after the All-Star break, they finished 12-13, below 500. So it was like, you can't really put that as a. He didn't do it for the whole season, so he completely fell out of the MVP race. And on top of Paul George's team losing and starting to go down after the All-Star break, James Harden and Giannis, their team started winning. James Harden, before the All-Star break, they were struggling all year, but after the All-Star break, they finished 20-5, so they just completely kicked it up to gear and turned it up and all that stuff. Giannis Antetokounmpo, his team, the Bucks, they were already good, pre the All-Star break, but after they finished off strong, 17-8. So it's like, yeah, they finished strong. The OKC finished kind of shaky, so Paul George just, to me, completely fumbled it. Not saying it's all his fault because of injuries, and it's hard to sustain that type of level of play for a full season, but that's what makes an MVP an MVP. He does it for the full season, so that's kind of how that happened. But Paul George, to me, if he would have continued that success and that level of play, he definitely would have won it, because the media and I feel like everybody else and the defense he was playing, that was just a top-notch level, so they would have given it to him. But I don't know. I just wanted him to win it, and it seemed like it's over. So that's the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you guys follow my second channel. Please do that right now. I'm plugging it in right now. It's in my bio. Make sure you guys go check that out right now. Follow it right now. I'm going to have videos out next week for that, so make sure you guys do that. I've been working hard on that channel. Do all that great stuff, guys, and until next time, stay tuned.
I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.